Good day to you all. Hope you're all doing well. So, I just want to put this video together about Professor Hojo. So, to be honest with you, I think that the reason why is because if you exist within a series of cosmic Lovecraftian alien things and very on the nose Christ allegory mummy issue man that Sephiroth is as her offspring. If you exist within the same series as those two, and you still come out as the most unnerving fucker out of the lot of them, then I think you deserve a lot more notoriety than what you currently get, and that is, of course, Mr. Professor Hojo. This is Sephiroth's real dad, but please don't tell him that because he'll probably have an even bigger meltdown. But also Hojo's longtime rival, also father to Aerith, and of course the original discoverer of Genova as well, Professor Gast. A man who even the prideful and psychopathic Hojo looked up to in his own twisted way. So you all just sit back, relax, and I'm going to tell you all how the roots of their rivalry and their scientific hubris all combine together to form the foundation of our story for FF7. If you ask me, the very heart of the Shimmer Electric Power Company's vast and expansive grip that it has on the world isn't Mako or the generators that fuel them into power. And although their monopoly on dishing out Mako energy throughout the world is definitely a very accurate reason as to why they have such a vast grip on the world and why they are so powerful in the present day. However, if you ask me, the real reason that they have such a grip on the world at this point in time isn't due to the Mako reactors and what they provide, but it is instead due to its just as technologically advanced, but also very secretive research and development center, headed at this point in time by Professor Gast and also Professor Hojo. And now I'm going to show you how, rather than the giant, powerful Mako reactors being the main symbol of Shinra's power, I am instead going to show you how it is instead their actions taken from behind the curtain in their more secret scientific division that actually puts them on top of the world. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact scientific project that they had to undergo in order to put themselves on top of the world. Now, with the uncovering of the Genova project all those years ago, Hojo was not the first person to head this project off. It was in fact Professor Gast. And now, with the Genova project fully underway, I'm going to show you in this video how two men would come to shape the fate of the planet. One sought to understand the origins of life, and the other sought to enslave it. This is the story of Professor Hojo and Professor Gast. So, as I mentioned before, Professor Gast was the head scientist at Shinra, and he also headed their science department and their research and development center, which is what led into the original Genova project. But you see, Professor Gast was not like Hojo. He wasn't just a scientist, he was an explorer. His discovery of the Cetra and the ancients wasn't a pursuit of power, but of history and of knowledge. And when he met Ithalna, the last pure-blooded Cetra, he didn't see her as a specimen, he saw her as a life partner, and the last remaining survivor of a bygone race that had to be protected. Driven by a massive inferiority complex and a total lack of empathy, Hojo didn't want to learn from nature. He wanted to rewrite it completely. To Hojo, the world was nothing more than a petri dish, and people were simply the samples inside of it. And now the research into the Genova project is what really shows you the difference between the two. You see, when Gast first uncovered Genova, he genuinely did believe that she was a Cetra. They had not found one at that point in time, so why wouldn't they think that this creature that has similar abilities wouldn't be one of them? So when he tried to resurrect the ancients through Genova, he thought that that's exactly what he was doing. But when Hojo takes command of it, he 100% understands that Genova is not an ancient and is something much worse, but he still goes ahead with his scientific curiosity, hubris, and pride. However, even though Gast had mistakenly believed that Genova was an ancient, unfortunately that mistake was not one that he could take back easily, and unfortunately that mistake would go on to haunt the world for years to come. However, while Gast would flee in guilt to the Icicle Inn with Ivalna in tow, Hojo stayed. He took Gast's research and twisted it into the soldier program, and even taking it further and using his own unborn son as the ultimate experiment. Unfortunately, although Gast had gone away to the Icicle Inn in an attempt to hide Ivalna from Shimra and Hojo, the rivalry ended in bloodshed. Hojo had tracked Gast to his hiding place at the Icicle Inn. Of course, it's Hojo, so he didn't just want Gast's remaining research, he wanted to eliminate the only man who was ever his intellectual superior. Gast died defending his family, leaving Hojo to claim Mifalna and the infant heiress for his twisted games. And unfortunately, with Professor Gast passing, he leaves his lover Ifalna and his daughter Aerith in the evil clutches of becoming property of Professor Hojo again, as they now return to living their life in Midgar in the Shinra building. You see, Professor Gast's legacy lived on in the hope of his daughter Aerith. Hojo's legacy lives on in the fire of Sephiroth. You see, one man sought to secure our future by studying the past, while the other did what he can to harness the past and use it to turn our future to ashes. And think, even with Hojo's vast inferiority complex towards Gast, you would imagine that his hostilities towards him would fade upon the man's death. But unfortunately, as it often is, people's problems get passed down to their kids, and also people's trauma, people's hatred, it all gets passed down to the next generation, much like how Sephiroth harbors an unusual hate towards Aerith come near the end of the game, especially when you consider that Sephiroth actually assumed himself to be an ancient to begin with. But yes, unfortunately, even after Gast's death, Hojo's crappy inferiority complex left his future son in Sephiroth gunning after Gast's own daughter, and, well, you know what happens eventually to her. See, that's the thing. If you know that your family is prone to having cycles of violence within it, you need to nip that shit in the bud on your generation. Otherwise, it will filter down to the next generation. Just look at what we've discussed with Hojo and Gast, eventually funneling into Sephiroth and Aerith. Unfortunately, being brought up in close proximity to someone with as warped of a mindset as Hojo has can only lead to disaster, especially with the ideals that Sephiroth eventually goes to adhere to in his mind. You know that that is only going to lead to destruction and disaster. And you see, that's what makes Hojo so much more fucked up than Sephiroth to me. Sephiroth wanted to rule the world, whereas Hojo wanted to make it his plaything. And I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that one is decidedly way more fucked up than the other. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm so sorry I've not been around recently. I've had a few things going on, but I should be back now. So thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate you guys watching as always. You all take care of yourself, okay? Take it easy.